Welcome back to the Snowpoint Cast. We've got a Majestic Dialgachomp Legends versus video here for you today. Trevor Reed's going to be on the left playing Dialgachomp. I'm going to be on the right playing Megahippo. This is actually the first time either of us have played this matchup. It's not really an archetype that's seen much play because it's kind of a new archetype. We're going to go for the flip. Trevor's going to go first here. Draw the 7. I think there's definitely some really interesting interactions in this matchup that could happen. Dialgachomp level X and Yen Mega Prime, for example, turning off Insight seems pretty powerful on Dialga's side. And also just Sand Reset. Trevor's going to flip a Smeargle, which is a great starter, especially going first. And I'm going to flip a Yanma, also a decent starter. Trevor's going to bench a Dialga, put a special metal on it. Honestly pretty good for the start, and he's going to find a Bebe search with the portrait for Smeargle. So he's probably going to use that, just put a card back and get a different Pokemon. Yeah, just going to grab a card that he doesn't need right now and grab something else. Maybe a Garchomp here, potentially an Uxie, depending on what else is in his hand. I didn't really get to see his hand there. Yeah, it seems like he's going to opt for the Uxie. Let's draw some cards, maybe hit. I'm pretty sure I didn't see an extra belt. I saw the Dialgachomp level X, but Trevor really would like to hit like maybe a collector. If he finds like a collector off this Uxie and then is able to get an unknown quick, retreat the Smeargle, and then maybe find another energy as well, he'd be able to deafen me next turn, which is pretty good. If you can get a turn 2 deafen off on your opponent, especially against a deck like this that relies on Junk Arm pretty hard. That's pretty good locking and turn 1 or turn 2 pressure rather. But I do see at least one Hippopotas in my hand, potentially 2. So yeah, we'll see what Trevor's got here. He's gonna go for an Ux for 3, I believe. Yeah, just gonna bench the Ux and draw 3 cards. Finds a double colorless energy, a Warp Point, and one other card. The DCE is actually really good in an next turn. It means that he's able to second strike me. If he finds an X Repel, he can just knock me out, which is really good. And then, yeah, I do have a double colorless energy, Hippopotas, and a fighting energy, and a Junk Arm. So, double Hippopotas. So that's actually a really decent start on my end as well. Finding 2 Hippos means that I'm going to have a backup attacker if he's able to take 1 Hippo out. Just think about what I want to do here. I can't Junk Arm for nothing, but I do want to get that fighting energy in the discard pile so that I can attack with it soon. I have a Bebe search. I'm probably going to end up going for a Bebe for an Uxie, because there's not really much else in my hand right now. I'm just going to retreat and Warp Point, knowing that I can't really do much this turn, and having it in the discard is better because you get to Junk Arm for it later, and also it thins 1 card for the Uxie. Drop the DCE, and then going to Bebe search back, probably the Junk Arm. Yeah, just going to put the Junk Arm back, keep the fighting as the attach return for next turn. Yeah, just going to grab an Uxie and draw 6 cards here, which is pretty good. Trevor doesn't have 3 SP Pokemon to play, so Power Spray is not a threat that I'm really worried about. It would be definitely concerning if Trevor had 3 SP Pokemon. I would be spooked, especially after Trevor used an Uxie last turn. But yeah, pretty decent spot for me. There is a lot of stuff that I can hit off this. You know, I'm mostly just looking for Hippowdon, but you know, if I hit a Lost Remover, that's really good. If I hit an X Belt, that's also pretty good. Any kind of Pokemon search is pretty good here as well before the deafen goes down. If I'm able to hit, oh, and I do see the Lost Remover there, so gonna hit the Lost Remover on the special metal. That is a big deal. It means that Trevor's, if he wants to deafen me next turn, he has to do so with a metal and an energy gain instead of just an attachment and an expert belt. If you can force your opponent to not have an expert belt on their Dialga when they deafen you, it makes it a lot less impactful because they're hitting you for 10 instead of 30 every turn. So I'm gonna go for an Azelf here, find a Hippowdon. I did see a Hippowdon level X in the prizes, but I'll just save that to later, just because yeah, I'm able to grab that at any time now that I've looked at my prizes. Yeah, so I think we're pretty satisfied to just go for a pass here. There's not really much else that I need to do on the turn. Pretty solid turn there. I mean, we set Trevor back almost a full turn just because he missed his attachment now that we've used Lost Remover. He does have a Cyrus Conspiracy. He's probably going to go for a Metal Energy Gain because hitting Deafen here is still really good, even if it's not for 10. With the Dialgachomp level X as well, it shuts off the Yanma's Free Flight, so it means that I might not be able to attack him next turn unless I manually attach retreat, which is actually not that bad, honestly. Manual attach retreat, because Yanma has a retreat of 1, you can just manual attach retreat and then save sand, get the fighting back, so it's actually not that bad. So yeah, the first two we see there is going to go for the energy gain and the metal energy, and then another Cyrus, just a chain Cyrus, classic Cyrus move. So yeah, we're gonna see Trevor go for a Deafen. He might also want to find a Garchomp this turn if he's able. I don't know if he has the cards in his hand. He probably would have benched it last turn if he had it. But if he topped it, he probably should bench a Garchomp if he has one. So yeah, he's just going to go for the metal and an energy gain here, and level X to shut off the Free Flight Pokebite, as well as Insight if I find the Mega, and then just Deafen for 10 and lock trainer cards. So I'm going to evolve into Hippowdon. Safe Sand is ready, and then I do have that energy from before the Uxie, so I'm going to retreat. And then I don't know if I have any supporters in my hand. I do have a collector, so I'm probably just going to collector for maybe another Hippopotas, potentially an Uxie, because I don't have any other energy in my hand. I do kind of want to draw some more cards here, and Trevor doesn't have 3 SP Pokemon in play still, so if I'm able to, you know, Uxie without the threat of Power Spray, I am going to do that, even if it's for... it's for 4 cards. That's really not bad. So I'm going to draw 4 off the Uxie here. Trevor doesn't have the Pokemon to play to use a Power Spray, and I do find a couple double colorless energy as well as the Stadium that might be useful later. And then I'm just going to save sand for 50. I'm going to drop 50 on the Dialga. And Trevor is now kind of in a weird spot. Oh, and he rips the Birth off the top of his deck. So that's an amazing top deck for Trevor. You can see in the top of his hand there. He's thinking about whether to go for the Cyrus Conspiracy, but you definitely want to use the Birthday here, especially because he has a double colorless energy in his hand. So he's just going to be able to swing at me for 50 and then kill with Second Strike next turn with the Birthdays. So that's actually a great top deck for Trevor. Probably one of the best top decks that he could have gotten on that turn. And yeah, he's probably just going to attach double colorless energy and then Second Strike for 50 and set up a 2-hit knockout. I'm going to draw... Oh, I ripped the Loss Remover off the top of my deck. 2 amazing top decks for both of us, honestly. The Loss Remover is a little bit less impactful because Trevor can now just hit an energy and then still Second Strike now that he has an energy gain on. But still great to be able to remove that off of a Dialga. Really want to find an attach on this other Hippo this turn if I'm able to get it, just to be able to continually swing. I'm kind of prepared for Trevor to be taking a knockout next turn. I know he has a Cyrus who can just Cyrus for an energy, and I can be ready to take a knockout. So I do have the double colorless energy. I'm thinking about putting it on the bench one, but also thinking about swinging the active. If I put it in the active, then I swing for 70, which means I only need 50 to KO, which depending on what I hit next turn, there is going to be a fighting in the discard. So if I save sand for 20, 30, 40, I need to hit Hippowdon, an Expert Belt, and an energy, which is not that bad. If I hit double colorless energy, I don't need to hit the Expert Belt either. So, I mean, that is kind of a lot to ask, but we're kind of at the point now where we're swinging for trades, and I need to be setting up a knockout, and if I'm not doing that, I'm in trouble. Trevor didn't have a Garchomp down last turn. If he did, he would be in a much better position, because then he would have the opportunity to go Warp Energy, a Garchomp level X Healing Breath, and then I would be in a very awful spot. But luckily Trevor's setup wasn't that great, so we're not in the threat of him hitting healing cards here. If he had his VS Seeker for Berthas, that would also be really awful this turn as well. But that'd be 2 pretty good top decks in a row. He's just going to go in for another Cyrus Conspiracy. Going to grab a Metal Energy, probably, maybe an Aaron's, just be ready to take the Dialga back. I don't know what else Trevor's really looking for. He might grab an Aaron's, he might just grab a Pont as well. He has a Collector in his hand. But yeah, Aaron's for the recovery card might not be that bad as well. We'll see what he grabs. This is like one of the trickiest part about playing Dialgachomp, is you have so many options. Obviously you grab the energy, but the supporter for turn and the galactic tool is, those are the tough picks of the deck. He actually is probably going to go for an SP Radar, because I do see that Garchomp level X in his hand as well, so he might be setting up for a Garchomp level X next turn potentially. So he's probably going to go for an SP Radar and maybe another Cyrus as well, honestly. He could go for another Cyrus. But that is 2 of his basic energy down, so being able to return those would be pretty good. Also hitting the Dialga line back just to get Yanmega out of contention. If Yanmega is a threat in this matchup, it can get a little more dicey, because hitting for free on a 1-prizer for like 70 is a lot of damage. And yeah, we see him going for that errand there, just ready to hit some recovery. He might have had some awful prizes too. He might have prized like a Dialga or Dialga G level X or something. It's just going to go back in with the SP Radar, probably grab a Garchomp here. So he's putting a card on top of his deck. And he's just going to grab a Garchomp C to be able to maybe Dragon Rush next turn or heal if I whiff the knockout. I do have to hit kind of a card combo to hit the knockout, so he's just saying, hey, if you don't hit the knockout, I am going to be healing next turn, which is a very, very fine option to be doing. So yeah, he's going to go for the basic metal attach on the Dialga. Pretty decent hit for Trev there, honestly. He's got some stuff in his hand for sure, and he's just going to take the first prize of the game. I'm going to promote Hippo. I top deck the energy, so that is actually pretty good. And oh, I have the double colorless actually, so I only need to hit Hippowdon. So that's actually not that bad. I don't know, I don't remember what I have in my hand here, but if I have any kind of draw card, like a Pont or even like a Judge, I might be able to hit the Hippo level X. There's a fair amount of Pokemon search in the deck. 1 Luxury Ball, 2 Pokemon Communication, and then 2 Hippowdon remaining, so like 5 outs, which is not so bad, especially when I've played a decent amount of cards, so it's very possible that I hit off this. I just need to hit a 1 card, and I do see the Judge there, and I'm going to use a Junk Arm first, just to thin some cards and also get another Fighting in the discard. I think I ditched a Collector and a Fighting. Probably gonna grab just gonna grab the Loss Remover back and put it back for later because it's such a good card in the matchup that having 1 more in the deck is really not bad, especially when I don't have any left. I've used 2 of them already and I only played 2, so being able to put 1 back in the deck for later is really good, as well as putting 2 dead cards out. I am trying to hit a card, so it's always good to thin when you're trying to dig for a specific card, especially a card combo. Yeah, we'll see if I can hit off this Judge. I actually would like to hit a Hippopotas as well. That would be really great, but that's kind of asking a lot off of a Judge to hit a Hippowdon and Hippopotas when there's only 1 Hippopotas left in deck. So yeah, just gonna draw 4 here and see what we can do. And there's the Hippowdon, so I am going to be able to KO Trevor with Save Sand this turn, which is really nice. And then I'm going to Pokemon Communication as well, to be able to find probably just another Hippopotas here, just to be able to set up in case Trevor can potentially get a KO next turn. If he goes double Colorless Energy on the Garchomp. Oh, actually he can't, because he can't Energy Gain and Expert Belt in the same turn. I was thinking if he goes Expert Belt, that he can KO, but he doesn't have an energy on that. If he goes Expert Belt and then Crobat Ping, he can hit for 110, which would be a pretty big deal. But that is not going to be happening. Dialgachomp shutting off sand cover is also kind of annoying. I mean, it's not a big deal because I'm still hitting knockout here, but if I would have only had like the Fighting Energy, for example, shutting that off is the difference between knocking him out and not knocking him out. So yeah, I'm just going to grab a Hippopotas and then save sand to Fighting to the Hippowdon, hit him for 50 and take my first prize of the game. And so I remember this now. I misplay very bad here. So I've used an Azelf. So I could look at my prizes and take whatever I want. Probably should grab the Hippowdon level X, but I just randomly grab a prize instead of looking at them. So I really should have looked at my prizes and probably taken the Hippo level X, but sometimes you just forget you used Azelf and you just want to take a prize. So a little bit foolish for me there, but we'll see if it matters into the late game. Oh, and I draw the Collector off the prizes as well. So that's actually very bad because now Trevor gets to Collector, and I really would like for that not to happen. So yeah, pretty big misplay and I end up getting punished for really hard because he gets to Portrait for a supporter when he didn't really have much else left in his hand. So not a great position to be in. If you use an Azelf, folks, check your prices. That's a kind of a day one play that I'm kind of throwing here. But my misplays are for you guys to learn. As long as you can learn from your misplays, then I mean, everyone's bound to have misplays. That's just part of the game, as long as you can get something out of them. So he's going to go for a Crobat and a Nuxie here. Probably just ping the active and then draw some cards as well. Just because this Hippo is the threat, so he wants to be able to hit it for some damage. He might be setting up for that Expert Belt Garchomp play, depending on... He does have the Expert Belt there, hits an Unknown Q and an Energy. And he already has his Attach Return in the Dialgachomp. So I'm not in threat of being deaf in this turn. I'm not going to get attacked. So I am going to go upper price next turn because Smeargle is very weak to fighting. So I'm going to bop it for some damage. Unless Trevor's able to hit a switch, he might He has already attached return, but since he has a full bench, he can't use the unknown Q and retreat to the Crobat. That would be really nice for him to keep the Smeargle, but now the Smeargle is going to go down, which kind of sucks, but it's worth it to get the Collector off because that pretty much put Trevor back in the game. Drawing those cards is pretty good for him. He had the Garchomp, the Expert Belt. He had lots of really good cards off that. So I'm going to go for a draw. Not really doing anything. Not going to go for attach for turn. Don't really have anything in my hand. I'm just going to save sand for the KO and then attach a fighting from my discard. Trevor promotes the bat because he's got free retreat. Oh, and a great top deck for Trevor as well. He finds the Twins off the top of his deck, especially because I now have a prize lead on him. Twins is activated now that I'm at 4 prizes and Trevor's at 5. So Twins, search your deck for any 2 cards if your opponent has more prize cards than you. So great turn to draw that card. 2 great supporter top decks for Trevor with the Berthas and the Twins. Both 1-ofs that he just drew it raw, just how we like it. And he's going to go for a energy exchanger at the same time. He's going for 2 cards and an energy exchanger. So Trevor is going to be popping off this turn. I don't think there's any way I don't die. If he has, yes, he's got the DCE, he's got the Expert Belt, he's going to find Dialgachomp level X and Expert Belt and then a Poke turn probably, and then just going to be able to ping the active for 20 and then hit it for 90 with the additional damage from Second Strike and an Expert Belt. And then I'm going to get knocked out here. So he's going to Poke turn the Crobat, ping the active, evolve to the Dialgachomp level X, which is actually really good because one of my outs here probably would have been Yen Mega. A Yen Mega turn here wouldn't have been that bad. Just hitting an Uxie for 40 or even the Dialga for 70 would have been pretty good if he didn't hit the level X. But Twins is such a great card because it just lets you search for 2 cards in the deck. So I'm kind of, the board position is kind of rotated from, Trevor's power to my power back to Trevor because he's board wiped me of hippos twice and I only have a hippopotas. I'm kind of in danger this turn because if Trevor's able to hit, I know he has the Garchomp level X in his hand, but yeah, the Lost Room over here is actually really great draw as well. So being able to get rid of the DCE is pretty annoying for Trevor because it means that he isn't able to just go, if he has a bench slot so he can go Bronzong the double colorless energy, Poke turn, or warp energy, energy gain, and then shoot or Dragon Rush the Hippopotas before it can become a Hippowdon. So luckily I hit the Lost Remover. If I didn't hit that Lost Remover, I might have been in a really bad spot. If your opponent can Dragon Rush your active attackers that are good in a matchup, and you get like benched of attackers, especially when the prizes are like this. If he went up a prize and also cleared my board of hippos, I would have been in a really bad spot because he likely would have just been taking like another prize or 2 before I was able to get up and attacking again. And by that time he's at 1 prize and then the game is over. So luckily I was able to hit that Lost Remover. I'm just going to go for a collector here. I'm going to grab a Relicanth, a Yanma, and a Regirock. Love the rock. Snowpoint cast playing the rock. You have to be playing the rock, bro. It's such a good card in this matchup. So Regirock, Regicycle, discard 2 cards from your hand and then take a fighting energy from your discard pile and attach it to Regirock. So kind of a cool card. I'm just going to attach the Expert Belt, attach to the Uxie, and then swing into Dialga for 20. He's not able to KO me now that I've discarded his double colorless energy. If he, there's 2 double colorless energy in the Lost Zone, but if he went double colorless energy, Poke turn, he would be able to KO me again, and that would probably just be the game because the prize lead would have been too severe. But that's a pretty god hand if you have that 3-card combo, especially when 2 of your double colorless energies have been lost removed rather. So yeah, Trevor's just going to go for the Cyrus Conspiracy, grab a Psychic, a Aaron's, and a Poke turn. Probably just going to put the Psychic on the Dialga and swing for 30 into this Uxie. It's kind of what I expected. Even the Second Strike, I don't really care. Definitely actually hurts me more because then I'm not able to use trainers and potentially find a Hippowdon. But I think I have a Bebe. I think I saw a Bebe search in my hand, so I will be finding the Hippowdon this turn at least. And I know that I'm able to Psychic Restore this Uxie so that the Expert Belt is not just a 2-prize threat that's liable on the board next turn. So I'm probably just going to Psychic Restore, put it at the bottom of the deck, and start charging a Hippowdon. Maybe even get the Regi going, because even if he has, like, if Trevor has power sprays, he's probably going to be burning them on Regi because my board is so bad and he has not used any this game that me accelerating energy is not really great for him. So I'm going to attempt to Regicycle here. Trevor is going to let it go through. So not sure if he has a power spray or not. He does have a power spray. So he's going to power spray the Regi. That makes a lot of sense, just because having the energy acceleration there. I do have a Stark Mountain, so getting the Regicycle and then moving it to the Hippopotas for free would have been pretty good. And I'm just going to go for a Copycat for 6. I think there's 6 cards in Trevor's hand. Hopefully hit the Hippowdon here. It's kind of another dicey turn, because if Trevor's able, it's just like another turn where if I don't hit Hippowdon, I have a 1-of index, so it's not really likely that I hit it. But if I don't hit it, then Trevor has the opportunity to potentially kill me with a Garchomp. And then I'm still in a really bad spot. So you're going to draw 6 off this. Evolve into the N-Mega just to give myself free retreat. The N-Mega does have free retreat. The N-Ma does as well, but not if your opponent has Dialgachi level X, because it turns off the Pokebody free flight. I'm just going to go for an attached return on Hippopotas, and doesn't look like I hit the Hippowdon this turn. I'm probably just going to go for a Psychic Restore for 20. Just set this Dialga up with chip damage so that I can potentially KO it a little later. There is an opportunity to like hit a really crazy combo to be able to kill this Dialga. I need like, what do I need? It's got 140 HP, 40 damage on it. So I need to be hitting for 100. So 20. Yeah, that just can't happen. If Trevor let the Regicycle go through last turn, there's a potential for that to happen, but I don't think that I'm going to be able to kill the Dialga this turn, which does kind of suck because Trevor has a Garchomp on the bench and a Garchomp X in the active, so he's just going to go for an Errands for 2 energy and just start stacking up this Dialga so that he could be Remove Losting. Remove Lost is one of the greatest attacks that Dialga has in this matchup. Against a Hippowdon that has a bunch of energy on it, that can potentially clear it of all its energy, and also that clears the damage threat. So he's just going to deafen this turn, though, because he doesn't really need to break the item lock, especially when he knows that I haven't found the Hippowdon. Junk Arm opens up for potential Hippowdon outs, or a Luxury Ball, or even a VS Seeker, because I think I played a Bebe's turn 1. So there's a lot of outs that I am able to have, but those are trainer-based outs, so Trevor's just going to make the wise play and lock those trainers so that I don't have access to the Hippowdon. He probably is waiting to do the Garchomp play as soon as he's able to. I mean, I'm sure that if he had the cards in his hand to be able to do that, he would, but he hasn't done that now. And I do have the Bebe search off the Copycat, so I am going to be able to find the Hippowdon now, which is really nice. And so I'm not really in threat of that Garchomp KO anymore. I'm not really Dragon Rush KO threat, although I'm going to go for the Collector here instead and just find the Uxie and a Yanmega, because if I get the Regicycle off, I'm going to ditch the Yanmega. I just don't really, or Yanma, I don't really need it anymore. And it's kind of dead in this matchup anyway, because Dialga shuts off Yanmega. So I'm just going to thin that and then potentially Uxie. And then if I don't draw the Hippowdon, then I can at least get it next turn. And I do want some more cards. I don't think I have an attachment in my hand, so I probably would like to get an attachment off as well. I need to start building a Hippowdon if I want to be able to kill this Dialga anytime soon. So I'm going to go for a Regirock, Regicycle, discard a Yanma and a Yanmega, and then put a Fighting onto Regirock. And since I have Stark Mountain in play, I can move that to my Hippopotas if I would so like. Yeah, so kind of a decent spot, kind of starting to build a board back here. And the prizes are tied, and Yanmega having 110 HP means that Trevor is not really in any position to... I mean, he can second strike KO it, but I would prefer that, like to get trainers back. So we're just kind of chilling at 4 prizes each, and just kind of, he has a board, he's building his board, he's getting attachments, I'm also getting attachments, but Regirock is kind of helping me accelerate those attachments. So we're just going to Uxie for a couple cards. I knew Trevor didn't have the Power Spray, because if he did, he probably would have used it on the Regirock, especially with the Stark Mountain in play. It's too good. Might just keep that. Probably should have moved that, honestly. The only thing I'm afraid of is... the Garchomp, because I didn't go for the Bebe search this turn, so just the Garchomp turn is a little scary. I do have 2 energy on the Hippopotas, which means that I am potentially able to KO with the Hippowdon next turn. If Trevor decides to go with the second strike KO, then it's entirely possible that I hit a double Cullis energy and an Expert Belt, and then return KO on this Dialga. I actually need to... No, I don't think that's actually possible. Well, it actually might be. If I hit another Fighting Energy in the discard as well, and then Regicycle as well, Trevor needs to whiff a Power Spray, but it is possible that I KO him this next turn. Trevor's going to go for a Pont, shovel his hand in, draw 6. Kind of interesting because he did have the Garchomp level X, but he probably just wants to find, like a Warp Energy or another supporter, just because Pont is okay, but having, and there's the Warp Energy and the Garchomp and double Poke turn. Oh my god, what a great hand. And he's got a special metal in there as well, and a Bronzong. So wow, that's actually a very, very awesome hand for Trevor. If I don't hit the KO next turn, it means that he's going to be able to Dragon Rush me if he chooses to do so, and he's just going to go for a Deafen for 30, swing for 30, keep me locked, which makes a lot of sense as well. Doesn't really make sense to break trainer lock against your opponent, especially if they're in a not great position like this. Trevor knows that I had a Bebe, but yeah, just gonna attach this. I actually think that this Regirock is a misplay. Well, it might actually not be a misplay because let me see if Stark Mountain is once during your turn or as often as you like during your turn. I believe it's once during your turn. If it's once during your turn, then it is a misplay, because then if I have the Bebe search in my hand, so I'm going to find the Hippowdon, and then keeping the energy in the discard pile means that I can save sand and accelerate that as well. So having 2 on the board is not great. If it's as many as you like, then it's not a misplay. But I think it's once during your turn. Yeah, so it's once during each player's turn. So that Regicycle was actually a misplay. It is nice to be able to thin trainer cards like the Night Maintenance, which is actually not legal in this format. So I didn't know that. If I knew that, I'd probably just be playing a Pokemon Rescue. And when that card does come into play later, but it actually really hurts me, I make a misplay with it. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, Night Maintenance, not a legal card in this format. It's a Mysterious Treasures card, and that is before Majestic Dawn. So not a legal card. But yeah, Regicycle, good to be able to be thinning there. And I guess it doesn't really matter because I'm not going to be swinging with this Hippopotas either. I just know that Trevor off the pont probably has a card combo that lets him hit some kind of healing, so swinging and then getting swung into is not great. And here we see the combo, so he's just going to go for a Warp Energy, put the Garchomp active, Garchomp level X, use Healing Breath, heal off the Dialga. This is the combo of the deck, everybody. This is what the deck does. You use Warp Energy, get the Garchomp active as for retreat, so he heals off the damage on the Dialga. And then he's kind of thinking about what he's going to do here. He does have that Bronzong in his hand as well, so he could just move an energy and then swing. He also has the option to move the Warp Energy to the Garchomp and then Poke-turn it to be able to use it again. But he's just going to keep it just because he wants to be able to Dragon Rush if he needs to do that. And then he's going to probably just go for the Poke-turn on the Crobat. Yeah, hit the active, and then he's going to be able to Deafen for KO here. Putting the Yanmega to 80, has 110 HP, and then he's going to be able to Deafen KO. So that's actually a really good play from Trevor as well. And then he goes Upper Prize. So I'm going to draw for turn. Let's see what we got here. Might try to go for a Regicycle again just to be thinning. It has been kind of helping me thin my dead trainers in this matchup. Going to drop a Relicanth, which is kind of an interesting card in this matchup. Being able to shut off what your opponent is able to do is pretty good. You're just going to go for Attachment Judge with Amnesia. Being able to lock their attack can be really useful against Dialga, can also be really useful against Garchomp. Shutting off their ability to Dragon Rush can be really good. Also nice because Stark Mountain and Regirock are both on the board. So even though it is a 2 energy cost attack, you're able to charge up the Relicanth in 1 turn, which is really good if you have an attachment from hand. I'm just going to Judge, draw to 4, put Trevor to 4. I know his hand's good. If he's not, if he hit the Crobat and he's just Deafen KOing, and if he's not using a Poke-turn on the Garchomp, then their hand is good. So I'm going to attempt to Regicycle after the Judge. Trevor lets it go through. I'm going to discard those 2, and I actually don't have a Fighting Energy in the discard, so I can't do that. Which is kind of why the problem with the other one. I should have just left that one and then done it this turn. Got the Fighting Energy. I mean, I didn't know I was going to drop Fighting off the Judge, but being able to discard the Fighting and then save sand for another 10 damage, hit him for 80 instead of 70 would have been better. It's probably not going to matter, but it has the potential to matter, especially because Trevor has the big Dialga now. We've seen his hand. I see a Warp Energy, a Special Metal, 2 Special Metals, a Expert Belt, and I missed the last card. Might have been a Bronzong. I think it was a Pokemon. Yeah, so just going to attach the Warp. Oh, no, he's thinking about it. Might be a Garchomp, the other Pokemon in his hand. I think it might be. Yeah, he's just going to attach the Warp to the bench Garchomp. Get ready for a Dragon Rush a little bit later. I do have lots of sprites on the bench. So being able to Dragon Rush those later is really good. It's just a free knockout option. Trevor's going to bench a second Garchomp just to be able to open up his Healing Breath as well. If I am going to find the KO this turn, regardless. But just to be able to maybe heal his Garchomp off if he decides to do that. He's just going to hit the... it should be for 100, I think, because remove lost with an extra belt. So it actually should be 100, but I don't know if that's really going to matter because this Hippo's going down next turn anyway. So I'm just going to go for a Pont here. Draw till I have 6. Shuffle in, draw 6. Honestly, having the fighting in the remove or in the lost zone is kind of a bummer because it means that I can't regicycle it. I would like to be charging up this Relicanth to be able to maybe potentially do something with it because this Hippo is going down. Yeah, and Trevor hits the clutch 100 because he sees the extra belt. I missed that as well, but good catch for him there. Yeah, I'm don't really have a ton of really good options. All my Hippo line is in the discard, and not having access to Yanmega makes this matchup really tricky sometimes because you have to really rely on your fighting attackers in Relicanth and Hippowdon and Uxie, I guess, because I attacked with an Uxie earlier in the game. But not having access to Yanmega can be a bummer because you are playing a pretty thin Pokemon lines. You're playing a 3-3-1 Hippowdon line and then a 2-2 Yanmega line. That's your main attackers. So only having access to like half of your attackers is not great, but we'll see what we can do with it. Hopefully I can get an attach off on this Relicanth. That'd be really nice. See, the Hippowdon level X would have been really good here just to be able to prevent a Flash Bite KO. If Trevor hits a Cyrus Conspiracy or a Poketurn, he's just going to be able to kill me without attacking, which puts me in a really bad spot because then he's able to take a prize and then also attack and maybe even take another prize. He actually will take another prize because everything on my board is under 100 HP and remove loss just is swinging for 100. So that is a really bad spot if Trevor has a Poketurn here. I'm just kind of checking the discard, seeing what he has. Mostly checking for Poketurns, and I think I see 2 in there. So good to check what your opponent's got going on, especially in SP. If you're playing against an SP deck and you're not like monitoring their resources, it can get really dicey for you, especially if you're picking routes of play. You're like, well, they might have this and they've only played like 1 Poketurn, for example. It's really not great. But if you're picking a route and you're like, oh, they played 3 Poketurns, the route might be more valid depending on what resources they have access to left. So I'm going to go for an expert belt on the Uxie, maybe gonna keep that. Having it on the Relicanth is also pretty good. 70 and 50, so I'm not able to kill the I'm gonna be killing this Dialga for 2 this turn actually, so that's at least really good. And again, we see me just drawing random prizes instead of looking and seeing what's good. But yeah, definitely KO here. I don't know if I go for the Ground Quake though. I'm actually thinking about doing the Ground Quake, and I am going to go for a Ground Quake because Ground Quake sets up some KOs. All my stuff is dying to Garchomp anyway. Like my Relicanth and my Regirock, I don't really care if I put 10 on those because it does put them to 80, which puts them in Dragon Rush range. But having the 10s on the bench is actually really good because then it goes to 20 with the sand cover. That's why the Garchomp is at 20. So kind of just prepping that for something next turn, and Trevor's likely just gonna retreat here and go for a claw swipe for 30. Just go for the KO, and that's what he's gonna do. He's just gonna go for a claw swipe for 30 and knock me out. Yeah, I'm gonna draw my prizes as well. Again, just randomly. I've Azelfed, but I'm just drawing them randomly like a fool. So yeah, kind of thinking about what I'm gonna do here. I do have the option to hit. If I have an energy in my hand, I can go Amnesia with Relicanth and stop Trevor from using Dragon Rush next turn, which might be the best line of play, just because if he starts Dragon Rushing me, we're at even prizes. If we Dragon Rush, then it just means he just needs to hit a Garchomp, Bronzong, and a double Colossus energy, and then he wins the game. So he has a lot of win condition outs in his deck if he does that, or even just chill, right? He can just, send up the Crobat, let it take a hit, and then attach to the Garchomp, and then a detach return next turn wins him the game. So this is kind of a pretty pivotal turn for me. I need to be playing really particularly here, and I probably am going to go for the Amnesia route just because if this Garchomp kills something this turn, then I'm in a really bad position because that's one of Dialgachomp's greatest strengths is its late game ability to seal prizes with Garchomp. So yeah, I'm going to promote the Relicanth, just kind of thinking what my routes are. There is a unknown Q on the Uxie, so I can also Grand Swell for 30 on something on his board, but I really need to be stopping this Garchomp from attacking. So if Amnesia is an option, I'm probably going to go for it this turn. I'm going to go for a Regicycle, Ditch 2. If Trevor had a Power Spray here, I probably would have just lost. And then I'm going to Stark Mountain to the active. move it to the active, and attach a fighting energy. And then that expert belt that I had before, I'm probably also going to put that on there, because if Trevor takes another prize, the game's pretty much over. So I may as well just hit him for some more damage, and then also set up for a 2-hit KO. Oh, I'm actually not going to put the expert belt on. That's really interesting. I guess not putting the expert belt on is good, because if I put the expert belt on, and Trevor had an expert belt of his own, all Trevor would need is an expert belt and a Poké Turn. Then he could retreat to an SP Pokemon, Poké Turn it. It resets Dragon Rush. Actually, he doesn't even need. Oh, it resets the Amnesia effect, is what it does. It stops Amnesia from being on Garchomp still, and then Garchomp can attack with Dragon Rush, and then all he would need was, and he has the expert belt as well there, so he just wouldn't need the Poké Turn. And I don't know if I see a Poké Turn there, but yeah, definitely a dicey line to play to attach the extra belt. Kind of greedy, and I just don't need to do that. So I'm just gonna chill, just gonna Amnesia and see what I have in my discard. I did find a Junk Arm there. So this is actually another misplay that I realized that I made is I have a Junk Arm here, and I have two options. I can either Junk Arm for the Lost Remover or Junk Arm for the non-legal card in this format in Night Maintenance, which I'm thinking about doing. Just to be able to shuffle back a Yanmega. I'm just thinking if Yanmega might be an out for the game if I'm able to, because Dialga's not really a threat anymore. So Dialga, or Yanmega rather, might be one of my attacking options into the late game if Trevor decides to retreat and then pass with the Crobat active. I don't really have a great option after that. But Yanmega is able to take out this Garchomp that has 2 damage on it with an expert belt if I'm able to match hands. So I'm just kind of thinking that might be a route that I play. I do have an Uxie X as well. Zen Blade on Uxie is another great attack in the matchup. Just to be able to swing for a bunch of damage with one of your support Pokemon later is really good. And also trade-off is really nice. So yeah, I am eyeing down that Night Maintenance, which is not a legal card, folks. So yeah, even if I were to grab the Night Maintenance and go for the Yanmega line, that is a misplay. And I'm pretty sure that's what I end up doing. But I think that's a misplay because I'm thinning my deck, and I just don't need to be... I don't need to be thinning my deck, or thickening my deck, rather, like with Yanmegas, because all I need is the double Pulse Energy and the Expert Belt with the Uxie. After this Amnesia attack, and then I'm able to KO. And if I'm able to KO here and take the first prize when we're both at 2, then that's much better. So yeah, really not a great play here. I'm just going to put these 3 cards back. I really want the Uxie, honestly, in my hand next turn, especially if Trevor's able to KO me, if he finds like a retreat and then a Poké Turn. Like, he has a retreat for free, but if he finds a Poké Turn, then I am in a really bad spot. So I'm just going to Amnesia for 30. But yeah, this is a foolish play and really, really silly. I shouldn't be thickening my deck with the Yanmega. I shouldn't have shuffled my Uxie back into the deck. I really want the Uxie because I need to find cards as well. So trade-off to be able to find cards would be really cool. Trevor's going to go for the Special Metal attach and the Extra Built attach just to get ready for the Lost Remover. And see, if I had access to... if I would have went for the Lost Remover last turn, then instead of the Maintenance, then I would have been able to do it again this turn. And then if I do it again, then Trevor isn't able to attack me with Dragon Rush for the game, unless he finds another energy, which, that's a lot of energy gone, lost zone. So that was definitely a very foolish misplay. Also not a legal play because the card's not legal, but yeah, we'll see if it ends up playing out. He's also going to go for an Extra Belt on the Uxie, probably just thinning. Just in case he gets judged or something, so he can hopefully find an energy in case he gets double Lost Remover. You never know. So yeah, this is where I kind of realized I made a very big game error. Should not have used the Night Maintenance. Really should have just used Lost Remover. So yeah, we're going to promote the Uxie, draw. See what we can hit. We just need to hit Uxie, Expert Belt, and a double Colorless Energy, and then Zen Blade swings for 80, and that kills this Garchomp because it has 130 HP, minus 50 is 80 left, so we just need to hit Uxie, level X, double Colorless Energy, and an Expert Belt. But see, if I had the Uxie already, then this would be a lot easier of a situation, right? Because I would have had the Uxie and then been able to make my decisions based on, maybe if I trade off first, I don't know what supporters I have in my hand, but maybe trade off first and then see what I have there. I'm just going to go for another Junk Arm. Going to go for the Lost Remover this time, probably. Yeah, just to force. But see, if I had have done this last turn as well, then Trevor would have needed a force to hit an energy attach, even if I whiffed the Uxie level X DC energy. And so I'm just going to VS Seeker for a Pont and shuffle draw 6. I do have a pretty thin deck, but this is where the Yanmega line in there really doesn't do anything. It's just more whiff cards that I don't want to see. So that's actually really, really not a good play. And even if let's say like, I think instead of Night Maintenance, I play Pokemon Rescue, which just takes a Pokemon from your discard pile and puts it in your hand. I could have just done the same play, but with Pokemon Rescue too, right? Like I could have just like thinned, played the Junk Arm, drawn the Uxie. There's the expert belt. There's the double colorless energy and one more card. And I hit the Uxie. So the crazy draw, never punished for awful play. I played really poorly there, but still hit the Uxie, double colorless energy, expert belt to win the game. So really cool game there. Don't play Night Maintenance. It's illegal. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about either of the decks or the matchup, feel free to leave them in the comments below and I'll do my best to get to them. And as always, thank you guys so much for tuning in and we will see you next time.